All right, so welcome to the Well Actually podcast. Thank you for joining us. We've been off for a while, but life happens, and we're gonna try our best to catch you up on everything that's happened in the meantime. I'm joined by one of my friends, or a very good friend, and he's one of the more politically inclined members of the group. So, would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Yeah, hi everybody. The name is Ayo. I go by JJ, and thank you for having me here.
All right, no problem. So, first thing I wanted to get into is, how's married life? Like, you got married over the summer, and how's that treating you now?
Well, it's good. I got married, official, and stuff like that. And marriage has been fun. You understand? It's not as scary as people try to make it seem. And I'm lucky to have my wife. She's made it easy. She's made it easy on me. You understand? And we've had our ups and downs, just like every yes, it's only 2 months. What ups and downs are you talking about? But we've been having a good time. We went to Florida for our honeymoon. We went to Miami Beach.
Okay.
And it was really good. And we've just been learning about each other. Getting that guilty-free sex.
Wow.
So,
okay. All right.
So yeah, that's a good part of it. The things you can do with your wife, trust me.
I was not expecting that kind of revelation so soon, but you never know what happens on the Well Actually podcast.
Yeah.
All right. So, like I said, a lot of things have happened since we last spoke to you. So
Yes, sir.
we're just gonna dive into some. Well, this is usually where we have our news and notes, but we got a lot of news to catch up on. So we're just gonna try and stick to the more pressing ones, the things that a lot of people have been talking about lately. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was, well, the Popeyes chicken sandwich, bro. I don't know if you've had it yourself when it first came out. Like, that's how long it's been since we were on. Like, when we were on last, the sandwich actually came out after that. It went away. They actually told you to do build a sandwich, bring in your own
buns, yeah.
And they can give you the patty, and then that just was not working for everybody. So now they're back with a vengeance. They've re-upped on their bread supply. That's not even a fake line. That is real. Mm-hmm. They re-upped on their bread supply. They got it ready, and then they're ready for everyone that's coming out. Mm-hmm. So, what is your take on the whole Popeyes thing?
Well, actually, like the name of the show said,
okay,
there are a couple of places where you're gonna see black people on the queue. Thanksgiving, Black Friday, when there's a new Jordan that is out, and it's the same level of craze, that is out there with this chicken, and I don't get it. Recently, someone actually got killed over the chicken.
Okay, so I'm glad you actually brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. Okay, so the thing is, I know black people, we have our faults, we have our misgivings, we have our places where we fall short. But I don't appreciate when media at large, or commentators, or just people who say things on the internet, put unnecessary disparaging remarks against black people. Where they're killing each other over chicken. First of all, that whole narrative is false and has been proven false, because the people involved in that whole altercation, it was already proven that they had past beef.
They have past beef. So the chicken just sealed the deal?
So it was just a matter of, they could have been at Popeyes, they could have been at a Best Buy, they could have been at a Redeemed Church. It didn't matter. It was on site with the two of them. And it just so happened that they met in line at Popeyes, and unfortunately, somebody lost their life. But the whole way that he's black people killing each other over chicken, I'm like, come on, man, y'all just playing up this stereotype of. And another thing I want to add to that, why is that when black people are enjoying things, we're supposed to feel guilty about it? First of all, who the hell doesn't like chicken? There were black people in line, there were white people, Spanish people, Asian people. Okay, maybe not Asian people, because maybe they were doing their own thing.
They're doing their own thing, definitely.
But they were everybody was in line for the chicken. But it's only black people are singled out as being these chicken fiends. But nobody wants to discuss the long ass lines at Chick-fil-A, first of all. Because Chick-fil-A on Route 22 be having lines all the way down to freaking Panda Express. But, we're not going to discuss that, because that's not necessarily black people. But then again, it's it's a fucking chicken sandwich, man. Like, why is that so difficult for people to like? People want to eat chicken. Like, if there was a line at McDonald's, would anyone have anything to say?
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just getting unnecessarily hyped up off of.
Yeah. But just a quick add to that, and not to get all serious, is that type of news story sell. Think about it. Think about it. Like, there's a certain way that the media paints black people, and for some reason, and so to say, like, black people will fall victims for it also. Every single time when there's this new hypeness, we all go after it, and before you know it, it becomes newsworthy. It becomes sensation. It becomes a new sensation, pretty much. And every single person, like, think about, like, every single time we just go there, we rush it. And, I remember one of your guests came on, Juan, and at the end of the day, who makes the money off of all these things is the white man. You understand? But not to go down that rabbit hole, but hey, I have no problem with people eating the sandwich. I haven't had it myself. You understand? If people love it, it takes away from the day-to-day pain that people feel, and, we'll try to find a way to make ourselves happy.
Okay. And another thing that came up during this whole discussion was, black people would, they're more likely to get in line for that than to vote. And two things to that. First one being, first of all, there's like a multi-million-dollar ad campaign designed around, one, your awareness of the sandwich, and two, making you feel like you need to get it. So that means someone is actively trying to get you to try this sandwich.
Sure.
That it is like a concerted effort behind marketers, researchers, advertisers, everything, the whole thing, and also making the product available.
Sure.
Now, when you contrast that with voting and the history of voting in this country as it pertains to black people, gerrymandering, the fact that they actually make it more difficult to vote.
To vote as a black person.
As a black, or even
state ID, state
yes,
voting,
like the requirements and all
that.
And the fact that voting typically happens on a freaking Tuesday, when other countries that are not even as quote unquote developed as the United States vote on weekends, when more people can typically vote. That's why voter turnout is never more than 34% on average of the population, because people cannot afford to miss work for it. It's not a public holiday or anything. So it's like, be careful the kind of things that you repeat as it pertains to black people, talking about they will be more likely to buy a chicken sandwich and to get in line to vote. Because there's nobody actively trying to stop you from buying a chicken sandwich. In fact, they're doing the exact opposite. They're spending a lot of money trying to get you in there. And the thing is, when it comes to voting, you vote for who you know. If I have no idea, first of all, that there is an election, this election that just passed was a local election, so you're less likely to know anything about the candidates. And in local elections, people are more likely to vote for the incumbent because that's the only name they know.
That's true.
So it's like, the thing is, it's very dangerous when you try and put the two against each other, because one, they have different levels of importance, and two, there are different barriers to entry. One is actively trying to stop you from doing it, while one is actively trying to get you to do it.
But can we look at something real quick? And to start from where you started, you said there's more money that goes into like promoting the chicken sandwich, which I'm going to disagree with you on that, because typically political campaigns put more money. But think about it this way. When the black chicken, I almost said the black chicken sandwich, but the Popeye's chicken sandwich, it actually gets promoted more by word of mouth, by what is on the internet. And they get free promotion from the initial rush that people,
because I know what you're saying, but that whole thing of free promotion, what you are calling free promotion is actually targeted promotion.
It is targeted.
Yeah.
I agree.
So they know who, just like how people use influencers and celebrities and all that, because they know, like, if I advertise to someone with 100,000 followers and that person advertises, that doesn't mean I'm getting free promotion. That means I'm getting smart promotion.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I tell, no, but that's the thing. Like, I'm promoting to this person because I know what this person's reach is, and I know how active this person's followers are.
But don't look at it from an influencer perspective. Let's actually look at a typical example that usually happens. If you notice, you've made me go to 7-Eleven to drink sloppy than any campaign could have ever done.
Okay.
You understand? Just based on your love for it. You understand? And that's the same thing with the chicken sandwich, where it's not about them reaching out to influencers. It's just one person enjoying it. It becomes viral, which, if you don't mind for us to look at it, it's actually a problem with our generation, where when things get lots more adverts just from the fact that it's going viral, more than the initial money that is put in it. And one final thing real quick. And this is probably the part that really pains me the most in this whole topic. You get the benefit of the chicken sandwich immediately. You can feel the benefit of the chicken sandwich immediately. You can't say the same about your votes in America. You understand? You know, they will say, oh, all vote counts, all vote counts. I really think your vote only counts when you finally, later on get the benefits. Are there programs put in place by the people that you vote for? If I get a chicken sandwich right now, my taste bud feels it, my stomach feels it, I feel happy, probably gonna sleep after it. You understand? But you can't say the same about the voting process. You understand? And yes, you're right. There are more barriers. If I feel the impact of my votes, you understand? If I know that, votes told you for president, and then told you put in laws, it can happen. Told you put in law that will allow my school debt to be erased.
Yes.
I actually feel my school debt, my loans going away. I'm able to, send my kid to a 2-year college and they don't have to pay. You understand? That will make it go viral. I lived in Union for 15 years. I don't even know the council leaders in Union. No, let's keep it real. This is a real problem. I don't know the council leaders in Union. And I was in Union for 15 years, in Hillside for 15 years. I know there are a number of times that people will come to that neighborhood and give us flyers. Oh, vote Ortega Rodriguez for this or vote him for that. And we don't take it serious because we don't know the impact of that vote, of what how that vote turns. John Oliver was saying something recently about the way the prosecutors at the county levels are selected. And he was talking about how it affects how much time you spend in jail and things like that. Do you know that we could decide that? In Hillside probably have more black people than white people. And yet, in Hillside, and I don't know whether I don't know whether it's called the prosecutor, but the person that is like, the local level attorney general in Hillside is white. Hillside have more minority population, but it is white. And guess what? This is the person that when you have a court case for a drug or something, they are the one that will give recommendation. So, guess what? Maybe we should give him 10 to 15 or 5 to 10 and stuff. And people don't feel the impact of those type of votes. People don't know, if we elect this type of person, it actually directly influences us. And, we'll move forward. But I still have a bit more to say because I had a conversation with my wife recently that we even shed some light into how people think about their vote and people that were put in office.
All right. So, like I said, he's very politically inclined, as you might have already surmised. But don't worry, there's going to be a portion of the podcast where we discuss politics in particular. So another thing that was maddening, or at least the response to it that was maddening to me in particular was, y'all boy, Kanye West, I guess,
oh my God.
He released the album or whatever, I don't know.
Jesus is King.
I agree with the sentiment, I agree with the title of the album. I don't agree with anything Kanye says, anything Kanye does, anything Kanye stands for. I've tried to listen to his album because y'all keep insisting that he's some sort of genius, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I could only listen to one out of I don't know how many albums he had. And then the one with Jay-Z. That was it. The rest were just, I got a headache off of it. And I basically get a headache off of everything that Kanye does. And everything that Kanye says, everything that comes out of Kanye's mouth. And especially once he got into the whole, when he got in bed with y'all's president, that just was the final straw. I don't know how y'all keep caping up for him, but y'all are really determined to keep riding for him, even though he has made it abundantly clear that he does not really like treat y'all with any kind of respect. Meanwhile, y'all done canceled Chrisette Michele because she made one performance and she thought she was being subversive with her little dress that she keeps referring to every time she mentions that. But you know what? I'm just gonna let that go. So, did you had something to say about Kanye and his album, or?
Oh man, the old Kanye thing is interesting, very interesting, and I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know all of Kanye's work. You know,
you're not missing much.
You know. I mean, I was able to go back and listen to some of his work. You know, the likes of College Dropout, the likes of Graduation. When people would say bring back old Kanye and stuff like that,
but keep all of it.
You know, here's the thing. I agree with some of current Kanye's message.
Okay. Okay. Now this I want to hear.
I do.
All right.
You understand?
What do you agree with?
I agree with when it comes out with black people, we are too much into luxurious stuff.
Okay. No.
I will tell you, there's a but.
I am not getting preached to by.
No. There's a but, and that's where I'm going.
I'm not getting preached. I refuse to be preached to about luxury and any kind of whatever Kanye has to say on that when he's selling $500 tickets.
That is the point. Okay. And that is the point. You see,
right.
I'm a big believer, and I always say this, all these big rappers that makes money. Remember we were looking at a video in Atlanta strip club where they sprayed close to 1 million one night.
Wait. Provide some proper context. This one that you're saying we were looking at video.
So here's the context. I think it's about a year and a half ago. There was this video on Twitter. They showed about some hip hop stars. They went into this club, and over the course of the night, they spent close to $1 million.
Okay, so what we were looking at is the fact that they were spending money.
They were looking, yes, that's what I'm trying to say. But I'm a married man. I'm not allowed to do that.
Right, just,
but
I'm talking about myself specifically. You're on your own there.
But back to the Kanye thing. Here's the thing. We can't always expect all our messengers to be perfect. But the messenger needs to do a better job of owning the things that they've done or the things that they're doing and putting efforts to stop it. You can't be selling a $250 sweater, a $400 sneaker that by the time people are reselling it is $1,000, and then you say, oh, guess what? Black people are only interested in luxurious things. I'm sorry, you are perpetrating the same thing that you're preaching against. So yes, some of the messages are good. Some of the message of, don't let us be mental slaves. We need to start thinking different. You understand? All those things are good. But now, here's the fear, and I'm saying this as a Christian, okay? I'm saying, and I'm not trying to get all preachy. There have been many people in the Bible that, God used, converted and stuff. And I think that's the fear of some Christians. We can get on band with Kanye right now, and then the next video releases, there's some woman there, butt naked on a stripper pole. You understand? And I think people are trying to be careful in terms of, okay, do we believe this new Kanye? I believe that anybody can get changed. And I actually said this on Twitter the other day. The Sunday service Kanye is doing, I know that many people are hearing about God for the first time because of that. But then, once again, not to get all preachy, but this is who I am. I'm a born-again Christian. I hope people are getting a chance to meet Christ. I hope people are actually being introduced, prayed for, and stuff. You understand? But Kanye is going to do Kanye. We don't know the next thing Kanye West is going to say. I hate the fact that he's in bed with we know who. The guy. I don't even want to give him the dignity of calling him president. You understand? I think that is very stupid. But at the end of the day, he's entitled to his own political opinions. You understand? No matter how crazy it is.
All right. So there are a couple things that you said that I want to focus on. So even in things that I agree with, I understand like there's no perfect messenger.
True. But
then there's also the thing of, even though you're not a perfect messenger, there's also like, you don't want a hypocrite as well. So the thing is, everything that he says, and this, he being Kanye, everything that he says comes off as being hypocritical because everything he says is very self-serving. He talks about not wanting people to be into luxurious items or to only like black things because he was denied access into certain circles in fashion until he got his hookup with Adidas. So it's like he wanted us to boycott all that until he had something to sell, and then it's like, okay, come along and purchase this. If you don't buy it, you're not supporting black. Or then it's like, oh, mental slavery and all that, and then he had the audacity to say slavery was a choice. And I'm like, first of all, okay, let's say you're even being metaphorical or trying to be fake deep or whatever. Once you heard how hurt that made people, anyone with any dignity or with any sense of like decency would apologize and try to clarify. But then you're like, no, I'm just trying to spread love. I'm like, no, you're spreading ignorance. And that's this dude that worked at TMZ, or he used to work at TMZ, Van Lathan. He said as much when he saw Kanye in person, because Kanye was at the TMZ offices around the time when he made that statement. And he let him have it. Like, what you're saying is like not only ignorant, it's hurtful, because like I guess Van is his family's from Louisiana, so it's like he still has like a lot of roots to
slavery
like,
and stuff.
Yeah, he like walks past trees where they said were good for lynching, and you're going to tell him that slavery was a choice.
I have something, and that's the problem with people like Kanye when they speak. And actually, is the old thing, on the internet you say, they will say 9/11, never forget. Did Kanye say, is he going to claim that the people of Holocaust are also, they decided to be, killed because they want to? And that part of, and I don't think, and that's the thing about the culture we are. When someone is rich, we always believe whatever comes out of their mouth is of high intellect, and they're actually introspective and they think very well. I disagree. It is not. I don't think it's as, yes, he's made his money. I probably don't have 1/1000th or 1/10,000th of the amount Kanye has, but Kanye is not as intellectually smart or in his thought, in the way he speaks. But I'm just saying, out of everything that is said, you understand, there are some things that I agree with. But at the end of the day, he should apologize for that. I know he didn't apologize. He found some stupid excuse, to put for what he said.
Which he always does.
Which he always does, you understand? But at the end of the day, we can't just throw away, we can't, is it that you don't throw away the bathwater with the baby, type of a thing.
So
we gotta find something to salvage out of that.
So now, I'm glad you brought that up too. So when this thing first came out, when he was buddy with the president, everybody was talking about they were canceling Kanye. Sure. Then the thing about the slavery, canceling Kanye. Sure. Here we are. Literally since those incidents, he has released 2 albums, and y'all have bumped both of them.
What is really specific with this y'all thing, though? Not me.
This is the royal y'all. Like, this is you all. All of y'all have still been bumping him. So I'm like, how much weight does this your cancellation carry? Because like y'all cancel people unless the beats are tight, and then you know what? Live and let live. And like, so it seems like maybe he has found his audience, because he's a hypocrite, and some of y'all are too.
Hypocrite. But before we move on, and this is actually a small, it's a microcosm of what we deal with in this generation. We have a very short attention span. Very, very short. We jump from one challenge to the other. It was for the ALS challenge, then something else will come, we jump on it, something else will come, we jump on it. We just make decision based on what are people pushing. You understand? And that's the problem. I don't believe in the cancel culture. I'll be very honest. You understand? We have that disagreements about R. Kelly the man and R. Kelly the musician and stuff like that. If art is good, I'll listen to it regardless. Right. But we're not gonna go down.
We are. We're not going to, but we are now.
You understand?
All right. So since you're saying the man versus the music, or the man versus the art versus artists, I'm going to keep it specifically about Kanye for now.
Okay.
Because the reason why a lot of Kanye's words carry so much weight is because he has been given this platform as a quote-unquote genius because of how proficient he is at his art.
True.
So once you start giving, so it's like you cannot separate the art from the artist if you're giving him this benefit of the doubt as the artist. his genius from the art is now carrying over to what he says outside of that arena.
Yeah.
So it's like
but
you're getting
that's based on individual, and that's what people need to be able to know the difference.
But then if you're trying to separate the art from the artist, he's getting this platform to spew this nonsense. He's giving this false characterization as a genius based off of making beats and raps. And he has proven time and time again that he's the farthest thing from a genius outside of the musical realm. And me personally, I don't even see him as a genius within the musical realm. But now, like, once you start stepping out into something that, like, people's lives are at stake, things actually matter.
That's true.
And he's still giving this credence as a genius. And, like, time and time again, like, for the last decade, he has given us multiple reasons to show that he's not a genius.
That's true.
But again, he keeps getting these opportunities, these platforms, this pulpit, this megaphone, this microphone, however you want to say it, as this genius because of his art. So it's like, you people keep saying art versus artist. And honestly, at this point, I'm not even judging anybody based on that. Like, you can make your decisions on your own. Don't allow me to stop you. I'm going to think you're a hypocrite regardless. Because it's like, you mentioned R. Kelly, so I'm going to go there. It's like how the beats, the music is good or whatever. And I loved his music. Like, it wasn't until recently that I removed his music. Like, I never saw it after the whole Lifetime docu-series.
Yeah.
I stopped listening to his music. I still had his songs on my playlist, but I recently removed them because not only was he actually singing about a lot of his exploits, but you have to understand that the people that were being brought to him, you keep saying separating the art from the artist. The people that were being brought to him specifically were being brought to him
so that
because of the art. So it's like, so his art was not only protecting him from prosecution, from investigation, from scrutiny, but it was actually being used as bait. So not only was he flaunting his crimes, he was using it as bait to lure more victims. And then, of course, it's like the people that he wasn't actually actively luring, when he went out to hunt, and I'm saying hunt because he was and is a predator.
He is. I agree with that.
So it's like, it was an open secret because, like, ask anyone who grew up in Chicago in the late 90s, early 2000s, even as recently as this freaking decade. So this is someone who has been doing this for the past 25 years in the open. And you know what is covering him? Oh, this is Robert. He makes music that we can all step to. And like, how are you now supposed to separate the art from the artist when the art is what is protecting him from justice?
And I understand this is kind of tricky, and let's be very honest, it's kind of tricky. I can understand that, okay, the more we listen to the art, whether it is Kanye or whether it is R. Kelly, they make money off of those things, then the money in turn give them the protection.
Right.
You understand? So, not that they act direct, and of course, the fame they mix from it.
But let me be clear. In no way am I comparing
R. Kelly
apples to apples.
No. Let's be clear. We're not saying Kanye is R. Kelly, but I'm just much more looking at, because at the end of the day, when I'm listening to an R. Kelly song, for example, I'm not listening to the man himself. I'm just listening to the musicality of whatever is being produced.
Okay, okay, you're listening to the musicality, and then what about once you hear Age Ain't Nothing But a Number? Then what?
But that also could be true. He was. Oh no! Here's the thing. We can say Age Ain't Nothing for a Number. When I listen to it, the first thought on my head won't be, oh, let me go molest a 16-year-old.
Yeah, but it was written for a 15-year-old. Yes.
The inspiration came from a 15-year-old.
No, he wrote it for a 15-year-old.
Which is Aaliyah, I believe, right?
He wrote it
and guess what?
for her.
So I guess this is where...
And on the album art, he was literally in the background of that album art. Just to impose himself within the art.
And I guess this is where your knowledge is a blessing and a curse. You understand? Because, yes, I do know he has this thing with Aaliyah and they later got married and stuff. But I didn't even know. Now, until right now, I didn't know the song was dedicated to Aaliyah. You understand?
No, this was Aaliyah's song. He wrote it for her. As in, he was the writer of the song.
So all I'm just saying is, when me, with not that much knowledge like you, when I listen to it, I'm not I'm not looking at all the intricacies, the background meaning and everything. I'm just probably at a lot.
Okay,
a 20-year-old gets married to a
okay,
30-year-old. You know, age doesn't go a number.
But sorry to say, now you have that knowledge. So going forward, you cannot. Ignorance is no longer an excuse.
It's no longer an excuse, but I'm still gonna step in the name of love, though. Or
Wow.
who did he write that to?
He wrote it for all the old people in Chicago that have been covering up his crimes. But you know what? I think this is a good place to take a break.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after a short break. All right, so we're back at the Well Actually podcast. So we're joined by JJ, and of course, we're joined by his better half, a world-renowned, a world-renowned and world-trained professional on the next topic that we're going to be discussing, because it can't just be two guys talking about this subject. And I'm going to bring her in after we play the clip, because in case some of you haven't heard, well, T.I. put his foot in his mouth yet again, and you know what? I'm just going to play the clip and let you guys decide for yourselves.
Walk with her. And yes, not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
Oh, hey, do you go with her as a prisoner?
Yes, I go with her. So we'll go. You know what I mean? I say, Deja, they want you to sign this. They want you to sign
this right now. I didn't know if your height is still there.
So we can share information. So is there anything that you would not want me to know? Oh, okay. See, Doc, ain't no problem. So.
All right.
Wow.
So, in case it wasn't clear, that was T.I. talking about accompanying his 18-year-old daughter to her trips to the gynecologist, and specifically checking. There's an ongoing appointment, I guess, on checking on the status of her hymen,
Virginity.
in respect to virginity. And like I said, let us welcome Dr. Mrs. Faturotti to the program.
Okay.
A world-renowned. I'm sorry. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. So I'm Julia Faturotti. I'm an OBGYN by profession. It's interesting. We're laughing about this. There's really nothing funny about this.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's really nothing funny about this. There is no evidence-based medicine that you can confirm someone's virginity. And using a hymen to determine that is completely absurd. Actually, this is my first time seeing this clip, and I'm actually more upset because the OBGYN who had this daughter and father come to their office entertained it. And honestly, as professionals, if we see something that doesn't make sense or needs more education, it's our duty to inform the patients that we're not going to do this public examination. I mean, this girl is less than 18, never had sex before, and we're subjecting her to an invasive public examination. It's completely absurd, and I'm surprised that T.I. they didn't call child support on him, to be quite honest. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, but remember when we were actually talking about this driving yesterday, you spoke something about the mental state on T.I., like his mental status. So
yes.
Can you speak more
on
about
that? Yeah. So, I mean, I think that T.I. probably has undergone, he has a lot of complex issues. He's a guy who's probably been with tons of women. He has a lot of concerns about his daughter and her safety and, her being a virgin. And I think that as a parent, we should, train our children. We should try to encourage them to do good things or to make better decisions. But it seems like he's imposing on her some of his concerns and his issues of how he's treated women in the past. And so, she's subject to his issues.
His inferiority complex to begin with.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, so I have a few questions since I have you on the program. First of all, how common is it for a male parent to accompany?
That's right. It's not common. And most times when I've seen women with any kind of male figure, depending on how his stance is in the room, it almost comes like oftentimes there's some kind of discord in their relationship when you see a male there who is just kind of standoffish, just kind of observing the situation. And it always brings a lot of concerns to me when I see these kind of relationships, which most times I will have the man step out. And I don't really ask. I just say, you know what, this is a portion of the exam that I need for you to step out. And if I get a lot of pushback and he's answering for the woman, I have lots of concerns for her well-being and, you know, what that relationship looks like at home.
So it's not just about like the medicine itself, but you're also stepping in as an advocate.
And
for
that is
the
our
patient.
responsibility. We are licensed, we're trained that we report behaviors that seem concerning to the welfare of any person that's less than 18. Each state has their laws about what a minor is, but if we have concerns about that based off of the dynamics or, you know, what is being discussed in the room, it's reportable.
Okay, and before we started filming, I remember you said something about this is like a topic of discussion amongst.
I mean, we OBGYNs, we're outraged. I mean, on all of our social media platforms, it's a discussion across platforms. I mean, we just don't see this. I mean, you know, if somebody came to my office right now and said, "Oh, can you check the hymen of my daughter?" That's a red flag right there.
All right,
I
so
mean,
so these discussions themselves, like, so what's like the main thing? Like, what are they like? Are they trying to like correct some like some notions that are already out there, or is it like what exactly?
I mean, the fact that, you know, a woman is prized and virtued by her virginity, and now we're trying to check that is basically another form of oppression. And so we're just outraged across the border. You know, you're trying to say that a woman's values and her virginity, and now let's assess that. And assessing that, finding anything that's tangible, like a hymen. You know, if you look at the structure of a hymen from a biologic standpoint, I mean, a young child can have her hymen destroyed or broken many ways. And on top of that, a lot of women have different ways their hymen is made. So you can't even assess anything that way. And so, you know, you're trying to say, is she a virgin? What is her being a virgin? What does that mean? Why is that so important? Does that say who she is as a person? It just goes back to a lot of psychological oppression, sociological oppressions that men have opposed on women for multiple years. And I can't believe in this day and age, we're still experiencing that. It's outrageous.
So like the societal, the religious, whatever is being tied to virginity, let's put that aside. So biologically, you're saying the presence or absence of a hymen has zero correlation to virginity. In that, sure, it may rupture during that process, but that is not.
And a lot of women,
that's not the only reason why.
Exactly, they're not born with a complete hymen. It could be, you know, it comes in different shapes and sizes. And so, you know, a lot of men say, "Oh, if your cherry is not popped, you're not a virgin." Well, each woman is going to present differently, and so that's no determination. I mean, if a woman tells you she's a virgin, she's a virgin. If she's not, she's not. Period. That should be the only method you're using to confirm or not confirm.
So it's like, first of all, what they're measuring, virginity in itself, is flawed, and the way they're measuring it, again, with the presence
no
of
scientific,
it's like that's flawed as well. So like the entire equation is flawed.
The premise is flawed.
Yeah, because like the math and the calculator are both flawed. So it's like this whole thing. It's weird. I guess it's going to be weird once you hear guys talking about it. So I'm very thankful that we have you, not only as a woman, but as someone who is literally trained in this. You went to school for a long time. Thank you for that. So that the rest of us can just get our secondhand knowledge off of you, and just the kind of expertise and type of understanding that you bring to this topic is invaluable to a lot of us who, like, our the way we might feel about it might just be like anecdotal, where it's just like, this doesn't make sense, this is very intrusive, this is very this is very controlling in a way that he's so, and some people might see, oh, he's being concerned, and like, no, that's not being concerned. Being concerned is asking how her day went.
Exactly.
I'm actually concerned, and here's why. You know, since I saw when this was trending on Twitter, this is my first time listening to the audio in any way, shape, or form, and he said something which should be concerning. There was coercion, convincing the daughter to sign away her rights to privacy while getting a care from the doctor. You understand? So, and I have a question. When did this start? When she was 12? 13?
Okay. So that's another one of the red flags. He made it sound like it was something that was ongoing. So it's not like this was the first time that had
No,
happened.
it wasn't.
And that's why I'm really outraged with the OBGYN providers, if I'm honest. So it's standard. If a woman is a virgin, never has had any sexual intercourse, and she's less than 18, there's no need for a pelvic examination unless she has a specific medical complaint that would entitle you to look down there. And so what I'm trying to say is that, he's comfortable with her being invasively examined on an annual basis to prove something. And who's this OBGYN? Did they see a hymen? Did they not see a hymen? Are they just saying that so that everybody's happy? I mean, it's quite sickening. And this poor girl sitting there, nobody's thinking about her emotional state. They're just thinking about, does she have a hymen or not?
Yeah, so like the more like I think about the whole thing, like the more depressing it sounds, because it's like he's okay with her being violated in this way.
For his own peace of mind.
Yes, as opposed to her having consensual sex elsewhere. So
it's sickening.
Yeah, and then there are also people who watch their reality show. I don't, but there have been multiple people who have mentioned this, where he talks about his 15-year-old son having sex and laughing it off.
And that is what and that is the fairness thing that I think needs to be talked about even more. Because at the end of the day, you're okay with your 15-year-old son running around, sleeping with, because I'm sure the 15-year-old probably started with another 15-year-old. Let's be honest. But you are okay with that happening, but you're there, not only sheltering your daughter, but invading your daughter's privacy.
I don't know if he's okay with either. I just think that he's focusing his priorities on the wrong thing.
No, but even like a 15-year-old, it like in the grand context of things, is that someone who can like legally even consent to sexual activity? Like, he didn't express, like, the way he laughed it off, he didn't express any kind of concern
about that.
Like, who was this person? Was this someone who took advantage of you, or is this like did you even understand what was going on, or did you just see this as a strictly physical endeavor, or was it just too like the kind of concern that he should have had in that place was completely removed, and it seems like he's focusing all of it on this 18-year-old who now, by all like legally or whatever standard, has the opinion or the right to make that decision for herself, but he seems to be like literally and like inserting himself into like her affairs. And like the fact that he's even more concerned about that, and it seems like he's more concerned about the optics of it. Like, see, my daughter has not been defiled. So like, even in his mind, he sees the introduction of a man into her as like making unpure. And like, if you see that as like, shouldn't that make you take a look at yourself even more?
I think it leads to a bigger issue with the African American population, that we don't train our children on proper sex education, and our focus is completely out of focus. The only thing you should be teaching your kids is why to have safe sex, what that means, using condoms, using contraceptions in order to prevent pregnancies, and things that are aligned to that nature, but instead, we're focusing on virginity and things that are just not going to help her be an independent woman in society and to have safe sex. And, that's what sex education should be about, not about maintaining your virginity. You can emphasize, why there are benefits to keeping your virginity. There are multiple benefits, but in the end, we have to raise our children to make their own decisions.
True.
And to be able to be independent in the society. And he's doing not any of that for his daughter right now. And she's going to have a lot of negative thoughts about sex and, what that means, and it's going to be really hard for her to navigate. I'm interested to see how she's going to navigate her future.
And another unintended consequence of all this is, after all of this came out, now there have been like hundreds or even thousands of men who have now gone to her Instagram, flooding her with comments talking about they would like to take her virginity.
I mean, can you imagine?
Like, so it's like you're doing something where you think erroneously, obviously, of like protecting her, I'm putting that in quotes, from whatever sex might bring, and now you've made her a target for these same individuals.
It's ironic.
It's like the thing you should be protecting her from is bad decisions, not like what, like now when we look at it, we know that, okay, your whole thing is not about, oh, you want to make sure she's safe. You just want to make sure nobody can talk to you about your daughter. So it's like, it's not even about her. She's a prop in this whole thing.
Exactly.
And like, you know, it's really unfortunate that in the middle of all this is an 18-year-old girl who was just minding her own business.
Absolutely.
And her dad is.
And we gotta blame the father for that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so now, what is supposed to happen to this doctor now that has, because not only had the father failed her, but the medical professional who's supposed to be her advocate, who's supposed to, in addition to providing medical care, who's supposed to have her best interest.
And those
what happens there?
those complaints have to come from the patient, and so, or from people who are seeing that. So I'm not sure if they're going to raise any concerns to the OBGYN, or it sounds like it could be several OBGYNs. But, you know, we have to hold our doctors to appropriate standards, because that's why we're here to protect our patients. We're here to tell them what's right and what's wrong. And that OBGYN absolutely failed her.
All right. Well,
multiple times.
That's heavy.
Yeah, because I know in the Black community, especially, we have like not a lot of trust for our medical personnel, because they typically take our issues not as seriously, whether it's in terms of pain management or even issues of death or mortality amongst pregnant or
and that's that's a disparity that hits, like you said, pain. It hits you know, childbirth. I mean, we could talk about it on, and we have to do better, and that's why we have different people in place that are just trying to put better policies in place that can improve those disparities, because one should feel safe going to their doctor about any of their concerns. They should feel they're equally being cared for. And these are some things that just kind of builds the mistrust between the doctor-patient relationship.
All right. I really, really, really want to thank you for not only providing some much needed expertise, but like, so that's just not two guys talking about vagina here. I really appreciate your insight on this topic, and hopefully you people that have decided to leave New Jersey can come back and visit us so that we can have you on a little bit more.
I'm glad to be here. There is no such thing as a virginity exam. Point blank, period. You heard that from me.
Yeah, see, you heard that from someone who went to school for a long time. To reiterate, there's no such thing.
There never will be. And that's just the way it's going to be, guys. So.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
So we're going to take a quick break here, and then we'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, so we're back with the Well Actually podcast. All right, so like I mentioned at the beginning, JJ here is very politically inclined, so he wants to come in and, you know, give us a little information on everything that's going on, because, you know, Washington and even local politics is a bit of a shit show right now. But so what did you want to get into first? You want to talk about Captain Cheeto, or you want to talk about like the Democratic candidates, or what do you want to get into first?
I mean, let's look at, and I hope we're gonna, you know, take a little bit at the impeachment.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
As we know, for those who don't know, there's been
my fingers are crossed.
Fingers are crossed right now
for
good reasons. But just quick backstory. When I think when Trump became president, I can't believe I'm still gonna say that.
You said his name.
One of the many few people that I was watching the election night with was actually told you.
Yeah.
And you would think our girlfriend broke up with us that night. That's how sad we were. You understand?
It was a very sad night, yeah.
This is something that we've actually experienced together for a while now. So impeachment inquiry is going on in Washington D.C. right now. For those who don't know what the backstory is, I'm just gonna be as quick as possible just to, you know, shed some light into this. During Obama's presidency, Ukraine was invaded. A part of Ukraine on the eastern side was invaded by Russia. The place is called Crimea. It was annexed. You know, although Obama said Russia cannot cross that red line, but you know, the way politics work, sometimes things happen and there's nothing you can do. But invading a sovereign nation is actually a very big and huge thing. So since that time, the Congress comes together. They approved military aid towards Ukraine. Let's keep that in mind. This is Congress approved, which means Congress has the power over this. Yes, the president can do one or two things, but Congress still have to put the funding out there. So they have money that have been approved to Ukraine. They get it, no string attached, because when we look at our national security interest, a Western-backed Ukraine, which means a Ukraine that is good with democracy, actually is good to the national security of the United States. So we don't want anything from the East, like like Russia, like China, like North Korea, to be tampering with their democracy and stuff like that. So moving forward to this current presidency of Trump, there was a conspiracy theory out there to make your president looks good.
What do you mean, my president?
No,
my president is
my president is still black. So the conspiracy theory was that Ukraine was behind the interference in the 2016 election instead of Russia. So that was a conspiracy that the president's attorney and Rudy Giuliani that was pushing, and also back then Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden was on the board of a gas electric company called Burisma in Ukraine. So pretty much, Trump was telling Ukraine that, hey, guess what? I want you guys to investigate Joe Biden's son. Joe Biden is one of the primary candidates on the Democratic side, so we could get some dirt. Now, for you to be able to give me that dirt, before you give me that dirt, rather, I'm going to hold the foreign aid, the military aid.
This is the aid that Congress has approved.
That Congress has approved. I think it's about $400 million. That's supposed to go to Ukraine. So pretty much, so when these negotiations were going on, now this is where this actually get juicy. There's a guy called Mr. Sunderland. He's the ambassador to EU. There's another woman, Maria. I think her last name is Yanatovic. She's the Ukraine ambassador. Giuliani found a way for them to kick her out. So instead of us having the regular policy with Ukraine, there was a back channel that was going on. Instead of the regular foreign policy that is clean, that is legit. So they removed those people. But thank God for a guy called Bill Taylor. Bill Taylor is also a career diplomat. So what Bill Taylor realized that what was going on wasn't good. There's something fishy that is going on right here. It's actually in the text messages that he was exchanging with another guy called Kurt Volker, the bad people on those other side. Now, fast forward, what Trump wanted them to do is to announce that they will be investigating Joe Biden's son. And guess what? They actually agreed that they're going to do it. They had a CNN interview already scheduled with Fareed Zakaria. That was already scheduled. But because the whistleblower report came out 2 days before the interview, that is how they were caught. So that allowed Ukraine to be able to back out, and they already got their foreign aid. So come next week, and that is not even the best summary of what has been going on in that impeachment trial. But come next week, there's going to be public hearing, and you're going to be hearing people like, there's a subpoena out there for the Chief of Staff, Mulvaney, right now. So you will be seeing some testimonies, and I'll be very honest with you, we cannot take these things for granted. You understand? We really cannot, and it's something that we as public, we need to pay attention to in regards to this impeachment hearing.
Okay, so as someone who might not be as politically inclined, or who is just like, maybe isn't putting two and two together, why is it that what Trump did was something that was worthy of these impeachment proceedings?
Well, there's this little something called abuse of power.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
how is this any different from any other day he has served in office?
Well, so, they always say in court, it's not about what you can present, it's about what you can prove.
Okay.
During the whole Russia thing, that Russia should release the emails of Hillary Clinton, those things were things that happened in the past. So he's asked to go back. This is like catching someone right in the middle of a crime, because there was a phone call on July 25 to the newly minted president of Ukraine, where Trump asked him that, oh, guess what? You know, and this is not necessarily the way he said it, but this is the gist of it.
Okay.
You know, we've been giving you guys all this money, all this while as the United States, but I need you guys to do us a favor, though.
So
the favor is the investigation.
Gotcha.
And for the regular people out there, that this is important to who we are as a country. You understand? Think about it. If, you know, the way authoritarian things begin is a president who can abuse power, who can do anything without being checked. And the way our founding fathers wrote the Constitution is so that all these branches, executive, all these branches of government, they can check each other.
I'm sorry. There's some dogs trying to invade the studio, but you know, continue.
Right. So the way our founding father set these things up is so that the branches of government can check each other. You know, the judiciary checks the legislature, so nobody can, you know, go out and do anything. And trust me, these are just the bad things that happen that we are pointing out. There are a lot of other bad policies that have been passed by this government. So it's something that we really do need to pay attention to.
And there's no podcast long enough to get into all those bad
Trust me, we you know, and this goes back to what we said initially about us knowing what is going on. And myself and my wife, we had a conversation recently about people don't really care about the news until it affects them. A Ukraine policy doesn't affect anybody on what they have to eat or what they have to drink. You understand? So it's really hard, especially with the type of 24-hour cable news that we have these days. But I would just advise you, you know, find one source of news. You know, maybe it's NPR. If you are driving from one block to the other, just listening to some news. Try to know what is going on in your environment.
Or, of course, you could subscribe to the Well Actually podcast.
Yes, right there too.
And we will, you know, try to keep y'all informed. But it's obvious where I stand when it comes to y'all's president. But, you know, I would not consider myself part of the resistance. But if that's what you want to call me, I will not object. Right. Moving forward to the people who actually are part of the resistance, the candidates for the Democratic Party, they seem to be dropping left and right. Beto is out, along with all the other people who are doing this as a hobby.
Martin Yang is still in.
Yeah, he's Andrew Yang.
Andrew Yang is still in.
Because he has more money than most of them combined, and isn't he the one that wants to give all of us money just for?
Well, you got to get $1,000 every month if he becomes president. I don't see it being realistic. But
well, I support that idea. Whoever else wants to carry that idea, and we've had, like, how many debates have we had where it just seems like the stage is crowded?
I think we've had, we've had some town halls. We've had some regular debate, and I'll be very honest. The Democratic field was crowded at the beginning. I believe we had 20 candidates.
The debates have to be said in 2
You
nights,
know,
right?
it has to be, you know, the J League and the NBA type of the debates. But, you know, we are weeding people out at this moment. You understand? And a little bit, we're weeding people out. Also, recently, I think this actually came into the news today. Former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg, he said he will be joining the Alabama primary. He's going to be coming in on a Super Tuesday. I don't know how true this is. Also, the former Attorney General Eric Holder, I think he's just going to waste his time. You understand? Even like someone like Michael Bloomberg, I'm sorry. He's run as a Republican, I believe. I don't know how good that information was, but I definitely know that he's also run as an independent.
Yes.
So this is not his first rodeo, and I don't think America needs the repeat of the same thing at this point. The person that I will pay attention to, and I can't lie about this, I love her policies. You understand? Is Elizabeth Warren. She's the senator from the state of Massachusetts.
Right.
You understand? She has Medicare for all that is out there, early pre-K education, and I the only problem I just see with the old Democratic field as a whole is messaging problem.
Oh, so what do you mean by that messaging problem?
Well, there, they are not explaining the things they stand for in a way that people can connect to it.
So isn't this a product of just having too many people on stage during these debates? Like the fact that you're bouncing between 10, 12 people, it not only does it give each person less time to talk, but it gives you like less time to say what you're all about and less time to defend it once what your stance is attacked.
I agree, but let's keep in mind, the debate shouldn't be the place where your main message is coming out. This should come in your rallies. This should come in the town hall meetings that you have. You know, there's something called a retail politics, the door-to-door politics that a social organizer actually do, where you know, maybe it's just a bar. It might be 10, 15 people there. You understand? Yes, this takes a lot of energy. It's going to be tiring, but you want to have as much time as possible to actually let people know what you stand for. And the Democrats, and I'll be very, very, like, don't be shocked. Trump might win the next election if he doesn't get impeached.
So you say this, but then before that, you mentioned like a whole bunch of policies that we know Elizabeth Warren stands for.
Yes.
So is it that the Democrats as a whole don't have like one common message, or is it that the other candidates aren't just relaying their message as well?
Well, so in the Democratic field, the message, I would say it is twofold. Okay. One is to the left, you know, the left part, and then we have the moderates, the people that are trying to say, you know, Medicare for all is too big. Let's just expand Obamacare and things like that. But my concern is that they give us all these bullet points about what their plan is, but they are not sitting down with people to let them know at the core, this is how my plan affects your life. At the core, this is what you get for this plan, for that plan. Hey, if somebody says Medicare for all, and let's go back. Let's even leave this current election. If people are voting against Obamacare, and yet they are enjoying the Affordable Care Act,
yes,
something is wrong.
So that what I feel, the thing I that really stuck out to me about that whole Obamacare thing was, it was really Republicans who were pushing for it to be called Obamacare, so that it could be tied to him specifically. It might have had some vanity to it for President Obama at the time, because I mean, it's something that was monumental. It was something that even like, okay, so there was something I read recently where it was.
But hold on, before you go to what you read, so let me tell you, here's something. So, and this just popped into my brain.
Okay.
How did Obama win the election? Obama won with the people, but he didn't govern with the people, and that's something that Trump is doing well.
How do you explain that?
Trump won with the people, but every single policy that Trump wants to implement, Trump is literally having a rally for every policy where he's using the power of the people to pressure the House and to pressure the Senate.
So is he really even governing right now? Because it seems, because you know, the moment he won the first election, he incorporated his re-election campaign almost immediately.
Well, it kind of found a loophole in terms of, like, you know, all these rallies, because he is more connected to his base. Like immediately, and maybe this is not Obama's fault or Democrat, and I know we're moving back to 2018 to 2016. It's like, oh, Obama, we got you into the presidency, now go figure it out.
So, okay, so this is what I think about the whole thing about like, we elected a black man as president. He wasn't just going to be the president of black people.
And I'm not talking of black people.
No, because this is something that the disenfranchised folks have mentioned before as a reason like that they're going with Trump now, or why they feel Democrats don't have a chance later on. Because this was someone who actually was concerned about, you know, following the law and not just, you know, enacting things on a whim by being emotional. It was actually like considering a whole bunch of things. But even before I get to that, the reason why a lot of people are even understanding what Trump is doing is because you're more likely to excuse the actions of someone you like.
Of course.
Even in the case of Obama, a lot of us might love him, but not everything he did was right. Like some of them were just like, when you're not the person that's suffering of it, you don't see it that way. But there are some people in other countries who found some of his policies just downright despicable. And of course, as someone who supported him as president of the United States, I would be more inclined to excuse his acts because I supported him. So in that regard, I can see why some people might be more inclined to support Trump. But then when you see what he's actually doing, it's like, no, he's not doing this because he, like, all of his promises. People are saying, oh, he's a good president because he's doing what he said.
That's not true.
And that is utter nonsense, because like that's the difference between an adult and a child. Like a child just says what's on its mind and damn the consequences. An adult realizes that there are ramifications to what you say.
That's true.
And not only that, but not only ramifications for yourself, but ramifications for other people as well. And he seems to only think about what's going to happen with him and his business interests, as well as the interests of his cronies.
That's very true.
And what he's doing is actually like, in essence, like selling out the American public so that the 1% of the 1% are the ones benefiting. Like when you factor in the tariffs and all these jobs that left, all these mining jobs, all these manufacturing jobs that left, they're never coming back.
They're not.
That is might be a tough pill for some people to swallow, but they're never coming back. And they were true before he got into office. They're true now, and they're going to be true in the future. But the fact that these people are now like pushing these things as like the black people are immigrants.
But can I ask you a question?
Sure.
And I like the fact that you went quickly into the coal country right now. Who are you more going to believe? Someone who comes that, oh, those coal jobs, I'm gonna find a way to bring them back. Which, and let's be honest, when Trump speaks to those people, there are is tapping into some other seeds that is just not just necessarily about their job.
Right.
Now compare that to a Democrat who says that, you know what, your job is not coming back. But yet they didn't sit down to explain to these people. Because let's keep in mind, jobs like mining is quite generational in the Midwest. It's the thing that, you know, maybe the grandfather did, the father did, and the son is now doing. You understand? But the problem is the Democrats, when they go into this Midwest. I worked in the Midwest. I worked in Ohio. I went to all these places, and it is really literally deserted. But when you go back there to tell them, oh, your coal job is not coming back. Number one, are they explaining the new policy to them? And two, did they even try to implement anything?
Okay,
that benefits them?
I'll answer question two, because during the Obama administration, towards the end of his administration, when he was already moving, he knew that the way that the energy sector was moving towards natural gas as well as other renewable sources. He made, like, there were policies that were being put in place, not necessarily already in place, but he was trying to enact, that was going to actually like benefit the people of the Midwest, of that Rust Belt, of those coal country, that it enacted. Like it was supposed to be about them either getting training, getting funding, or getting like enlightened on what the next stage of energy was going to be. Because they like the people who are in charge of these coal companies who are funding other like Republican candidates aren't going to tell you that, oh, we're bankrupt or this or that. They're just going to keep putting money into who's going to keep them in power.
That is true.
And maybe what they were doing wasn't aggressive enough. Maybe they weren't getting as much rah-rah as this is how we're going to do it. And like you said, there were some other things that were tapped into when these rallies were going on. And I think once Obama got out of office and realized just how crazy things had gotten, that's when he came out and said, like, okay, you people are so concerned about being gentlemen. And he himself was guilty of this as well. He was very guilty of this, where he was talking, it was like always trying to take the high road. And like, you people are so concerned about that you're going to be a gentleman and a loser. Meanwhile, this guy is going to do another full term in office. Like, what you need to worry about is actually like getting your shit together and don't be afraid to be the bad guy in this thing, because they want to win and keep their hands clean at the same time.
And that's the thing. And if you Beamer, I hope I pronounce his name very well, on HBO.
Right.
You know, he always says something that Democrats doesn't know how to get dirty. And that's the thing. You know, like Republicans play dirty. I'm not encouraging playing dirty in politics, but like it's just we don't know how to explain things. We don't know how to, like, for example, when you talked about Obama, you know, people getting trained. That wasn't until his second term. You understand? And I know people were being trained that I believe it was how to make solar batteries and stuff like that. And people want to feed their family today. People are not planning to wait till, okay, what happens in 3 years? What happened in 4 years? So how about, I don't know why this thing didn't happen during his first term. You understand? Where people actually go, and a lot of money was put into renewable energy. Let's be very clear. A lot of money.
Well, you have to understand, wasn't it during his first term that he had to bail out Wall Street?
And that is true. That is when we're going through the old.
So you see, you can't tell someone to steer a sports car with one hand tied behind their back.
I agree. And let me be very clear. I'm not blaming Obama in these things, but if I'm to blame him for one thing is when it comes to governing, you understand, which is not just a problem that was with Obama. I'm just looking at the way Trump is doing some things, who is not really a politician, but leveraging the people. That is why Republicans, there were Democrats that voted against immigration bills.
Yes. See,
do you think any Republican will dare vote against a bill that Trump is putting on the table?
So this is something that I like. Once I found out a while ago, but it's something that neither party would actually like want to admit out loud, was in terms of deportation and stuff like that. The president that oversaw most of that, like in sheer numbers, was Obama.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the Democrats would not want to take ownership of that, and Republicans would not want to give him credit for that. So it's just sort of this thing that just sort of hangs. It's like you can find the numbers if you want, but nobody is just actively putting them out there.
That's true.
Because then also the way that he did it, there was some dignity to it.
There was dignity to it.
There was not separation of family. There was not. It was just like we have this process that we deem it fair and we deem it right. And if you do it according to this process, you get in. That's when DACA was enacted and all that.
Yeah.
And now it's just sort of like haphazard, where it's just like, no, F y'all, go somewhere else. You're not getting in. We're taking your kids. And then you now find out that there are like thousands and thousands of kids that can no longer be.
I believe it's 5,300.
Can no longer be accounted for. Like just straight up no longer be accounted for. And once you consider things like that, it's like, how are you still voting for this man? How are you still supporting him in anything that he does when you're finding out that people are actually being like separated from their families, and in a sense, like essentially, this is just trafficking, like government sanctioned trafficking in essence.
Yeah, and I really do agree with that. My thing at the end of the day is just that, and not to go off rail, is the Democratic Party needs to do a better job. The field is gonna dwindle down. At the end of the day, it might end up being Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren. I think Kamala Harris is gonna also hang in till the very end. I think this guy will be dropping out very soon. The former mayor of Newark, Cory Booker. I don't. The numbers are not there for him.
What about Castro?
Castro was never viable. I'm sorry, Julian Castro was never viable. There's nothing against a 37-year-old Harvard graduate, you understand, because we've also, I believe, we have other young presidents like that and stuff, but it's not gaining traction, you understand. But what I would say is let's wait for Iowa, let's see what happens in Iowa. Then, after Iowa, many people do drop out depending on how they do during the first primaries and stuff. But I just still think, and I'll be very honest, whoever become the Democrats' nominee for president, imagine Hillary Clinton didn't go to Wisconsin to campaign. Wisconsin.
But see, I feel like that's an oversimplification
It's
of the
not.
thing.
I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just saying we need to go to every state. We need to have as many. And I'm not just talking about a big rally where you just give a rah-rah speech and no. I'm not talking about that. Rallies where you actually explain things in a way that when people leave, because let's be honest, the Obama run was because of this is something different. Our spirits were lifted. This needs to be, my pocket is going to be lifted. Things is actually going to get better for me based on this plan. And it needs to be, like, it can't just be that, oh, I'm not going to raise taxes on middle class and just stop there. No, how are you going to fund all these other things? How are you going to implement all these other things? So people can understand the choices that they have.
All right. So the way I see the Democratic Party now is it going to be the best candidate that comes out or just who they think can beat Trump?
Honestly, it's going to be tough.
Because if it's going to be a decision of who can beat Trump, they're just going to put up another white man against him. That is usually how that goes. Because like,
I would love it to be Elizabeth Warren.
Honestly,
I'm not going to lie. I really love it to be her because not only do I think she can beat Trump, I actually do think she has very, very good policies. Yes. You understand? And like this, and all these, billionaire tax and stuff like that. I understand that maybe not necessarily the numbers that she put out. Even Bill Gates was speaking recently that guess what? He's already paying 10 billion in taxes right now. It can do 20 billion, but it can't do 100 billion.
So I'm glad you actually brought that up because once people see those numbers about taxation and tax brackets, the people who stand to gain from those policies not being enacted will continue to push a false narrative when it comes to taxation. So when you see something like 20% on this, the thing that a lot of people don't understand, or 40% or 30% as it grows, is that first of all, whatever you're hearing, just straight 40%, that is false.
That is false.
That is just straight false because what they're trying to do with the taxation is once you go beyond a certain amount, that excess is what is taxed at that rate. So it's not just okay, you make 100,000, they're taxing you 40%. That is ludicrous. Like that is just ridiculous. So what I would hope people do when it comes to like an issue this important is to actually go and do some just quick studying on what your tax bracket actually means to you.
And I will tell you this. So the Democrats actually have one thing that is going to work on their side.
Okay.
Now, this is if they know how to explain it to the people.
Okay.
Guess where I went earlier today?
What was that?
I went to see my tax guy.
Okay.
And we have this new tax law that Trump just passed. It started 2018 to 2019. And trust me, the middle class is going to get crushed. Trust me. Like, the amount, and the reason why I think it's going to work for the sake of the Democrats is from January 15, people can start filing their tax. All those new changes is going to come into reality.
And then you can see just all those promises he was making that you thought were going to work out for you.
But guess what? If we don't have a candidate that can explain to people, because sometimes people can even be feeling a pain and they still don't understand where the pain comes from. You understand? So when they can explain to people that, hey, guess what? Remember that taxes that I told you that, is not going to affect you? This is how it is affecting you right now. You understand? Because at the end of the day, it didn't affect the low income. So actually, it didn't give any money to the low income. It gave more money to the super wealthy. And you know what happened to the people in the middle? All those deductions that you were able to do before, you are no longer able to do them.
Nope.
Trust me. All those money you are, and I'm very sorry to inform you guys via this podcast right now. You know that refund check you always bank on, you getting less this year.
Yep. Yes.
And it's because of that law that was passed. So I hope the Democratic Party, yes, I mean, because of the everyday scandal that is happening in Washington, D.C., we didn't even remember that tax was passed. You understand? So it's something that they need to bring back to focus. It's something that they need to talk about. They need to make everybody know about it. Hey, guess what? This is what is going on right now.
All right. So before we wrap up this political discussion, this is just something that came to me, and I don't know if you have any insight on this, but why is it that folks in Nigeria specifically, not just Nigerians in America, but folks in Nigeria seem to gravitate towards the Republican Party, and not just Republican Party, Trump's Republican Party? Like, what do you think they see in him that makes them feel like they're allies? The same person who called Nigeria a shithole country, and the same person who wouldn't actually want them in the country. Like, what do you think he speaks to in the Nigerian psyche that just like...
I have zero idea. I actually haven't seen much of the people that were saying that, but I know there's this Nigerian Twitter type of a thing, and even folks in Nigeria get to be more involved in and put so much energy into it. What they see, I don't know, because I don't know what value to attach myself to.
Yeah, like once you mention every part of him, like what part of that makes you think like this is someone you should be celebrating? Because I
guess they're just like the evangelicals over here too, because I don't know what those people see either.
That is a very fair point, because again, this is someone I honestly
is hard to relate with. But we can look at one thing, and I know we didn't plan for this, which I think is important. That show called Newsroom? There was something I learned from Newsroom. In every debate, there's no two sides to all debates. Let's be very honest.
Okay.
If you watch CNN today, they will bring someone from the left, and for some reason, they will find a crazy person from the right to provide a counterpoint. And I think, I don't agree with Trump saying the media is the enemy of the people, because that is something that Stanley said. You understand? That is a authoritarian saying. But the news media need to cover American politics differently. Every topic does not need to have a Trump supporter to provide there is no two sides to every story. That's got to stop.
Yes, that one I agree with, because it's just sort of like turning CNN to ESPN.
Yeah.
It's like everything doesn't have to be who is getting the most points. Like everything doesn't need a counterpoint.
No, not at all.
But you know what? I'm glad we got to have this discussion on this, because I would have gone crazy trying to come up with this by myself. So before we go, I have a little quiz for you. Just rapid fire.
All right.
Just honest answers. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind, and
no problem.
And just trying to have a little fun here.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So I'm sure your wife might be listening, but don't worry. Don't even think about that.
I won't think about
it. Just focus on the answers.
Get me in as much trouble as possible. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question is: would you rather pee a golf ball or shit a bowling ball?
Woo! Oh my God! I could feel that pain. I was just imagining it. God, I'll pee a golf ball. Let's go with that.
You will pee a golf ball for real.
Hold up. Which O is bigger though?
I don't want to think about that.
You gotta think about the question.
I don't want to think about that.
I don't know.
No.
They are both painful.
That's for you to no, I don't want to. Are you peeing a golf ball or are you shitting a bowling ball? That's...
What size is the bowling ball?
Dude, leave. I don't... Okay, 8-pound bowling ball. An 8-pound bowling ball.
Oh my God, I'm in so much pain. I'll go with the golf ball still.
Wow.
I hope it can come out. I don't know how, but I hope it can come out.
You plan on having kids, right?
I do.
Okay. All right. I'm just trying to... All right. When was the last time you were in a fist fight?
Oh, I remember this. I went to secondary school in Nigeria.
That long ago?
It was that long ago.
Okay.
I believe I was in what you guys call grade 9 over here.
Okay.
And, there's something we call monkey post. So we were playing Monkey Post, and this guy, his name is Shion. I actually remember his name. He came into me, back tackle, and this was inside of the class. We played Monkey Post at the back of the class. You understand?
Of course.
So we just got into a fist fight.
Who won?
I won actually. I threw him into the chairs. I will never forget. I've fought few times in my life. I would never. And actually, there was a fight that I had in JSS1 that the guy, he punched me, knocked me out. So I'm not going to.
So you got KO'd.
I got KO'd in one. I got KO'd in one. So I'm not proud to admit it, but I got KO'd. But this one we shown. I remember winning that fight.
So your record is you have a 500 record.
I have a 500. Yeah. I mean, it's better than the Golden State Warriors right now.
Wow. See, and I didn't even get to talk basketball with you. All right. French fries or sweet potato fries?
Oh my God. Sweet potato fries.
Okay.
Oh my that was a good one. That was a good one.
Okay. What about the event that has had you like the most afraid you've ever been?
Oof. Okay. This is a bit of a story. Back in 2006, I think I got my first internship in New York. So, 9/11 have already happened and everything. And it was downtown Manhattan, a manhole popped. The manhole that I think the steam was too much, it popped. So it created so much sound, people thought it was a bomb blast.
Ooh.
And everybody on the street just went to the ground. I will never forget that.
Holy, okay, not
I
God.
will never forget that because New York, how big it is, and since 9/11, everybody's just sensitive. Like, boom! I will never forget. That got me scared.
Okay, that got dark very fast.
That got me scared.
Okay, all right. So this one, hopefully to lift the spirits.
Okay.
If you could switch places with one person for a day, who would it be?
Oh my God! For a day.
It could be any person, any gender, whoever.
Any person, any gender. I mean, I don't want to know what it feels like to have a big booty, but I'll take Will Smith.
You'd be Will Smith. It's funny. So the last person that asked that actually said Will Smith.
I'll take Will Smith.
That is crazy.
The guy seems to be having so much fun with
That
his
is
life.
crazy.
Yeah, he seems to be having much fun.
Out of everybody, two people have.
I will. I mean, and I don't even know his full story, but I look at his body of work. I look at, Will Smith for a time, any movie appears in Hollywood is box office. And I just like what the man is about. Yeah. You understand? And one thing that I would love, I don't know what he does with charity and stuff and helping people. You understand? But just as a person, the life is living, having fun, bungee jumping, going to the World Cup and stuff like that, I'll take Will Smith.
And like I said, last time I asked someone this question, if I'll switch places with anybody, it would be Rihanna. Because I would like to know what it would be like to be the object of affection for over 1 billion people.
Okay.
Even if it's for a day. And also, it's like, I don't know, just to see what it'd be like to have a clip. Moving on. Moving on. All right. So, final question. What 3 words would you hope that people describe you as? It doesn't have to be a phrase. It could just be 3 separate words.
It doesn't have to be a phrase.
It doesn't have to be a phrase. It could be 3 separate words.
It can be a sentence.
If you want to, it doesn't have
just
3 words.
And, interestingly, this is something that came up during the wedding and stuff. I was so shocked that how people went out of their way to help and stuff like that. And that's just something that I've always loved about myself. Just someone who I'll go out of my way to help people. You understand, and I love to being seen as being fair. To be I could be fair to a fault. I'm not going to support you just because you're my boy or anything. If you're wrong, you're wrong. I'll let you know. And the last thing will probably be hardworking.
Okay. I can attest. I can attest to that.
Like my money comes first.
I can attest to that personally. All right, sir. I really, really want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
It's been a long time.
And don't forget, I have nothing against Trevor Noah. Let me be honest with you. It's just that I miss Jon Stewart a lot. I believe Jon Stewart was a voice of reasoning during the dark days of George Bush. You understand? I just have like I never met the man in my life, but for some reason I have a personal connection with him. So,
but you know what? We didn't even get to talk about that. But you know what? Maybe we'll save that for part 2.
no problem.
And we can dissect that a little bit further. But thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been a blast. You know.
And where can everybody find you on? Where IG, Twitter, Facebook, High Five, MySpace? Where
I'm on Instagram. The name is at Agents JJ. You know, and the OBGYN that we had earlier, which is my wife. I love you, babe. She's at July. Don't worry, just go to my page on Instagram. You will find her. Twitter, I just do Twitter to read what is going on, to keep up to date,
and to troll Republicans.
And to troll Republicans,
Exactly,
from time to time.
Yes. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Again, we'll try and find a part 2 for this.
Well, actually, podcast. We out.